So just to start us off, Pete, it's great to get the chance to sit down with you.
Yep.
After the sale of Schopen Pest Solutions. So first off, congratulations to you and to Tammy and your sons. You built a really great business over the years, and you've created quite a name for yourself in the industry, and also for Schopen Pest Solutions. So congratulations once again.
Thank you, and I just want to thank your dad's been unbelievable. The whole House group has been fantastic. I've been teasing Dan relentlessly, but behind the scenes, just everybody here has been fantastic.
Great, we appreciate that, and we just want to say thanks for trusting us, with this process, and allowing us to represent you and Schopen Pest Solutions.
It was well worth the $5 million I paid you guys. Well worth it.
Okay. Well, we thank you for that. So with that being said, we just would like to, dive in, kind of gain a little insight on the process from your perspective and, the business you've built. So tell us, a little bit about life prior to Schopen Pest Solutions, and what did you do prior to the business?
Yeah, I was a sports broadcaster for a decade. Traveled around the country and did play-by-play sports for college football, college basketball, college baseball. Did some minor league baseball for a few years, and I'm a second-generation pest professional. My father was an old Orkin guy, and then he started up Mid-Central Pest Control back in the 70s. From there, that's where I learned pest control. You grow up in the house with it and everything. But then to pay my way through college, I ran an office for him for 4 years. Then I went off to become a sports broadcaster, and my wife and I moved all over the country. It was great. But we wanted to settle down, so we moved back to Chicago, where we're from. And I went back to work for my family business. After a few years, I got that itch. I really wanted to start something on my own that I could call my own. No one, and your dad will appreciate this, nobody can understand what it's like to start a business unless you start a business. I thought I knew how to run my father's business for him. You have no clue unless you actually start something from scratch. Every single customer becomes your baby. Right? Every single vehicle you buy becomes your baby, right? Any changes in the company, you're apprehensive. Should I do this? Should I not do this? So it's been an amazing journey being an owner. It really has.
That's great. And like you mentioned, from broadcaster to pest control owner, what was the driving force that led you, to create and this startup, which is now Schopen Pest Solutions?
Well, like I said, I was in my family business. And it's just really tough sometimes. I know there's some great families. You guys, your whole family works together. I applaud you. I think that's phenomenal. I love my siblings. It was just too much to be, to see your siblings all day, then go home and see them at night and stuff like that. So for me, I just wanted to go out, strike out on my own and do my own thing. So that's what started. I got a funny story, and I have tons of funny stories. My father, when he learned that I wanted to start my own business, he had some business cards printed up that said Benedict Arnold Pest Control, and it was actually very cute and funny. But my dad was my best friend in the world, and I didn't want to hurt him, and I knew me staying there was straining our relationship a little bit. So it was just better for me to kind of move on, yeah. And it worked out great. A couple months after I started my company, I approached PMP Magazine, Pest Management Professional Magazine, about this idea I had for what are called startup diaries. And I told them, I said, whether I fail or succeed, you guys got a great story out of this. And so I started writing for them quarterly, but then we had so much traction, there's so much good feedback from the pest control industry that we ended up doing it monthly for the past almost 16 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to dive deeper into your column and how that has played a role. But how would you describe going from owner operator to this 50-man operation, what Schopen Pest Solutions is now?
It caught me off guard how quickly we could do it. When you set your goal, and my goal was 25% growth every year. I sat down with a yellow pad and I said, I think I can do this. I think I can grow by 25% a year. So when you do that, it's one thing to do that with all the numbers, 1 million, 1.25 million, 1.7 million, 2.25 million. You can do all the numbers on how you grow by 25% a year, but you don't realize the equipment. You don't realize the manpower. If you're growing by 25% financially, you really should be growing by 25% with the employees too. At what point do you get office help? Okay, do you get a technician first? Do you get office help first? That's a big thing that plagues a lot of pest control people. By the way, always get a technician first. But I think that's a thing that really plagues a lot of people and know how to do it. So it plagued me too. Then I bought this beautiful building, an 8,000 square foot building. I said, man, it's going to take me 15 years to fill this thing up. It took us 2.5. Once you get that traction going, once you get the momentum going, once you have your standard operating procedures in place and your protocols, and you're hitting that 25-30% a year, nothing will stop you. It's like a spin wheel. We're just spinning. We're just keep going forward. Our net promoter score at Schopen Pest Solutions is unheard of. We're almost 86%. That's just unheard of. Tesla doesn't have that, right? I mean, so we really got things going well right now, and I'm proud of what we've done, and good luck with Rollins. I hope they keep the ball rolling.
That's great. One of the things that we were really impressed with was your culture and your core values that you have. How would you say those played a role when you were building your business?
So 5 years ago, we did not have good culture at Schopen Pest Solutions. It was a frat house. People worked hard. My guys worked very hard, but they also played really hard. And we were kind of naughty here in the office as far as language and jokes and training and everything like that. It was very unprofessional. We did good training. They learned pest control. They learned entomology, but it was really like a frat house in here. And so about 5 years ago, I knew I had to change things. And so I fired 6 people. I hired 6 people. And I trained them the way I wanted Schopen Pest Solutions to be going forward. I created a leadership team, and the leadership team came up with our core values at Schopen Pest Solutions. I didn't, they did, and we've lived those core values. Whether you practice smiling all day long, whether you practice being a nice person all day long, whether you practice being honest all day long, these are things you should practice. Okay, you catch yourself in a lie, go, I just lied. Go backwards and fix that lie. And that's what we try to do at Schopen Pest Solutions. We really practice being good people.
That's great. That's really great. And we're going to dive deeper into that whole startup process a little more too. But what advice would you give to owners that are kind of in that startup phase right now with their company?
I say be patient. It'll happen. Just be patient. If you're doing good work, word of mouth will spread, and you'll get new customers that way. I would never jump in nowadays. I would never jump into SEO too early. Back in the old days, you did Yellow Pages, right? You had to wait for the Yellow Pages to come out before the phone would start ringing. But nowadays with search engine optimization, if you're a small company, 1, 2, 3, 4 people, it's just too expensive. There's other things they can do, like join their chamber of commerce and be involved in a networking group, right? They can do direct mailings. Direct mailings are very affordable, and they hit the houses that you want to hit, right? Set up a really good referral program. Have people refer you, and really encourage those referral programs. Do net promoter scores. Even a 2-man operation should be doing net promoter scores, because what you do is you get that feedback from the clients, and then in turn you can start to train the clients on the different programs you offer within your surveys. So definitely something I can talk to people about if they want to call me. But net promoter scores, I think, is never too soon to do that.
That's great. And we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about this new venture that you have. But prior to even jumping into that, I think we just want to talk about this whole new process that you had went through, with selling Schopen Pest Solutions. And prior to retaining the Aus Group, what would you say were the decisions that came across your mind, or what were the driving factors or the motivations behind that?
Well, there's like 6 other companies I called to broker the deal, but your dad just wore me down, and so I finally hired him. But your father and I have very similar Christian values, as I'm sure you guys do too. And that was very important to me to partner up with someone that has my type of values, someone I knew would have my best interests at heart. I really wasn't looking to sell. It's just one of those things. I started getting some offers, and I knew I couldn't go down that path by myself. So that's when I wanted to talk to the Aus Group and see if they could help me traverse this, this thing that I was doing. And I was really surprised at at how well the offers came in, and that was it. It was nothing about timing. It was nothing about I was ready. I had goals where I wanted to see my company go before I sold, but it's just the way things work out sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's great, and we really appreciate that, and allowing us to represent you in this process. So, just talking about the process, how would you describe the overall process from start to finish?
Well, clearly the Alst Group has been doing this for years. Stuart sold, your own company at one point, so he understands the process. And so for me, I tried to listen. That's what I tried to do. And it didn't always work, because I don't do this for a living. I'm a pest control guy. I do speeches, and I try to go around the country and talk to people about their companies and customer service and stuff, but I don't go to talk to people about how to sell their business. So it was all brand new to me. A lot of things I didn't understand. A couple of things I ignored you guys on. It came back to bite me in the butt. So I would definitely tell people to listen more intently.
Thank you.
But I think it was the whole process. Like I said, you guys got this down to a science. You told me when I should start really working on the company as far as getting you information. And you're right on the money on everything. It really worked out well for me.
Well, we appreciate that. We know in the early stages there's a lot of information that we're requesting, just trying to market your business.
And the problem is sometimes owners will say, I got plenty of time.
Right.
I got plenty of time. July 4th's right around the corner. I got plenty of time and stuff. But no, I should have started sooner.
Yeah. And, like I was mentioning about the marketing process, we put together the presentation on your business, and just wanted to, ask what stood out to you about the presentation that was created, for the potential purchasers, and how did it communicate your story?
There was a lot. I mean, it was unbelievable. I think it was 42 or 44 pages long. It might have been more than that even, but I read every single one of them. The biographies on my employees I thought was fantastic. It really showed the culture we have here at Schopen Pest Solutions. The breakdown of my clients, it was some of the stats you guys had were things I didn't even realize. I could have sworn we're probably more 95% residential and 5% commercial, but we were actually 87% residential and 13% commercial, so that was actually pretty cool. The average cost of what each customer, the average cost we're charging everybody was pretty neat to look at that too, realizing I probably need to raise my rates a little bit, so actually helped me raise my rates this year. So there was a lot of stuff. It was the pictures I sent to you guys used them and you made them look really nice within the spreadsheets and stuff, so it was pretty cool.
That's great, yeah, thanks. And then, moving on, once you found a home for Schopen, what attracted you to Rollins, and how would you describe the overall fit for you, but also your employees as well?
I think with Rollins, it was a Fortune 500 company that still is willing to work with small companies and let us keep our identity rather than get us rolled up in that big machine. They allowed us to continue to keep our identity, and that was really important to me. It's not Rollins culture, it's Schopen Pest Solutions culture, right? And they're, for the time being, we'll have Schopen Pest Solutions culture. As we get bigger and bigger and bigger, we should be at $8 million within the next 2.5 to 3 years, okay? We will cross the $15 million barrier probably in 5 years. So as we get bigger as a company, I just want to make sure we never lose that culture. And Rollins has really expressed to me how important it is that we keep doing Schopen. And so that's, more than anything, that's what impressed me about the Rollins folks.
Yeah, that's great. Now, regarding the negotiating and the due diligence that took place, how did the Alst Group handle those aspects of the transaction on your behalf?
Well, they got me a lot more than I thought I was going to get. So that's a good thing.
Good start.
Yeah, it was really nice. So I had a certain number in my head that I knew I needed to have if this was going to work. It was never about money. And I know I'm being inconsistent here. It was more about my employees. I want to make sure my employees are taken care of. But if I was going to sell, it did need to be a certain amount of money, right, to make sense for me. And the Alst Group got me more than I was expecting. It was was Christmas every single day.
That's great, thanks. Yeah. So, all of us at the Oust Group, we really enjoyed working alongside you during this time, and you really built an amazing business. So what about, us stood out to you?
Everybody had their strengths. Your dad obviously is a driving force behind this, Stuart Oust, and he keeps it light, right? Which is what I like. We're both kind of characters, and so that keeps it light. Dan and Nick are very business oriented. They focus on the stats and the small details. Chris, I have no idea what you do, but I'm sure it's impressive. But I'm just kidding. All you guys, just very professional.
Yeah.
And my hat's off to Dan. This past week has been a killer for him. I know, with the lawyers, with me, with Rollins, and I once again, I know everybody behind the scenes, but a special shout out to Dan. He really pulled it together these last few days.
Yeah, he hasn't slept in the last few days.
I believe it. I believe it. He looks like it. So.
And like I mentioned before, we want to jump into now, some of the different ventures that you had going on at your time with Schopen Pest Solutions. So, over the years, we've really enjoyed reading your articles and, your column for PMP magazine, your writing style, your passion for the industry, but also mixed in with your humor. It's really engaging, and it's really a great piece that you've been putting out month again. So it's quite relatable on a lot of different fronts. And I just got to ask, during, your thought process with these articles, what were you trying to communicate to the reader?
What you just said, I want to be relatable. I think that's a great way to say it, Chris, is I wanted the other guys to know out there that, boy, you can really screw up. You can really make a mess of things and still bounce back, And that was, when my article started, I really, I have an ego like a lot of people. I wanted to, hey, crossed the $1 million barrier. Hey, we crossed the $2 million. What ended up happening is, as I was writing it, it was like catharsis. It was like, boy, did I really screw this up, and here's how I'm going to try to fix it. Almost all the articles ended up being funny, stupid things that I ended up doing while growing my business. And so that's what it meant for me, was to be able to tell people, hey, listen, you're going to mess up. Bad things are going to happen. You're going to wake up the next day, and things are going to be fine. And that's what the article really is about. And I want to give a shout out real quick. I know you guys got 6,000 more people that watch this. Doug Foster, I hope Doug Foster will watch this at some point, because Doug Foster has read every single one of my articles for 16 years. He's a Indiana-based pest pro, and he's just a sweetheart. And but that's what I wanted. I wanted people to, I'll get calls from people all the time, emails say, yeah, Pete, I started in 2006 like you, and hey, I'm really right behind you. I'll watch your stats, and it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's really great. I know we got a real kick out of reading some of these different articles. I know there was the Doritos article. I think there was, some different ones.
The chili cook-off septic problems was a good one, yeah. That was a good one.
Definitely some good laughs, but like you said, quite relatable.
Well, it's been a great run, and just so everybody out there knows, Paul Bell is a good friend of mine, and he wrote for PMP for a long time. Stuart Oust is a good friend of mine. He wrote for PMP for a long time. Nobody has wrote longer for PMP than me. Just put it out there, okay?
Well, another congratulations. So shifting gears here, you recently announced that you're starting a new venture. What would you say, are the services that you're going to be providing? And then also, what is the name of this new venture?
I want to do some consulting work, but I want to take it a step farther than consulting. I've had some great talks with your dad, Stuart, about his consulting that he did in the past, and I've taken some tidbits from that. But I want to actually visit people in person on a more regular basis and coach them, okay? On culture, I want to coach them on customer service. I want to coach them on leadership. I'm not as talented as you guys are at reading a P&L report. I can look at it and I can make some of it out, and I understand some of it, but I'm not as talented at that. But where I think I'm pretty good at is developing that good company culture, okay? And so that's where I want to, because if you have good company culture, you'll see profits. Because if your employees are happy, then your customers are going to be happy, right? Take care of your employees first. And as far as what we're calling it, we're in true Pete Schopen form. We don't take anything ever seriously. We're calling it RV There Yet Pest Consulting, because I'm going to be traveling around in my RV. And like, are we there yet?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You had that confused look, Chris. I'm make sure you got it, okay?
I got it.
All right.
That's great. I love that.
But anyway, so RV There Yet Pest Consulting, and Tammy, my wife, and I, the queen, we just want to hop in the RV and we want to visit people. I really want to spend a few days with clients and really dig into their companies. Once again, not so much the dollars. That'll come. The dollars will come if you're running your company smoothly. And that's what I want to help people do.
That's awesome. It's really great to see that you have this game plan set up, after you sold Schopen Pest Solutions, and you had this next career already lined up, which I think is, really amazing. What would be your advice to owners that are looking to sell but are not quite sure what they want to do yet?
It could never hurt to reach out to somebody like me, who's now sold, right? Obviously, it would not hurt to reach out to you guys, the Oust Group. Make sure they contact you and get some pointers. Once again, your dad was so gracious and was just talking to me several times. We talked, and he never talked about money or anything like that. He just, how can we be of service? How can we help you? So I think that's important, that they should reach out to somebody that's been through this just to get some pointers, see if they're ready. An important thing for me was the age. I know it sounds like a silly thing, but it was. If you're 40 and you're getting a $4 million offer for your company, you shouldn't be selling, right? If you're 40 and you get a $20 million offer for your company, well, now you need to think to yourself, how long would you have to work to earn that $20 million? If you had to work for 30 years, or you're 70 years old, perfect, sell, right? So that, I think, is important to understand where you're at age-wise and how much money are you being offered. Does it make sense to sell? But the most important thing is I would think, reach out to somebody like the Oust Group and just ask them for their advice.
Well, we appreciate that. The last question that we have, this was actually Stuart's question. How did Tammy get the
Don't
nickname?
call your dad Stuart.
This was our dad's
Thank
question. How did Tammy get the nickname the Queen?
Oh, she's the boss. I mean, are you kidding me? I run Schopen Pest Solutions. She runs me. Yeah. So,
that's great.
She is the greatest person. Every marriage. Are you married yet, Chris?
Almost.
All right. I'm going to give you some good advice, young
Please.
man. Okay. Every marriage is like this. Your dad's going to tell you it's way up here because it's your mom he's talking about. Okay. Every marriage is like this. Okay. It's those low points that you figure out the person you marry to is your partner. Yeah. And getting to those low points is important. And she has gotten through some really bad low points with me, both as a sports broadcaster and as running my own company. And she's a keeper, But no, seriously, the house is hers, the RV is hers.
That's great.
I really have. Now I sold my company, I have nothing. So, she's the queen.
That's awesome. Well, on behalf of all of us, we really appreciate you trusting us with representing your company, and just want to say thanks for doing this and just for being a good friend to us. So appreciate it.
Thank you guys, Stuart, and all you guys are awesome. Thank you, Oust Group.
Check it out.